You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. Every day, we're getting more and more draft announcements. Of course, a week ago today, we were all pleasantly surprised. We found out Kayshon Boutte was returning. Of course, Jack Besh has entered the portal. Jay Ward announced he's going pro, but will play in the bowl game. And you've had a lot of other announcements, most of which we all expected at this point. And on Sunday, B.J. Ojulari was the next to make his intentions known. Ojulari, via statement on all of his social media, did in fact announce that he is entering the NFL draft. No word yet from Ojulari, however, on whether or not he is going to play in the bowl game. So that's interesting, and I've vetted that a little. I've tried to find out. LSU today, Monday, begins bowl practice. So we'll find out, I would assume, soon here, if he's on the practice field or not, or whenever they do, in fact, have availability. But B.J. Ojulari has declared for the draft. No word yet, again, on the bowl game. And then Jaray Jenkins has also made his declaration. Jaray is a senior, but could take advantage of the COVID year, but has chosen not to do that. Jaray Jenkins is, in fact, going to declare for the draft. He'll go pro and will not play in the bowl game. So Jaray Jenkins has declared for the draft, and his career is over. You wish Jaray, a guy from Gina, who's probably best going to be known for some big-time plays like the game winner against A&M in 2021 in Tiger Stadium. Heck, he caught what would have been the dramatic game-tying touchdown against Florida State, but for, obviously, the blocked PAT. But Jaray Jenkins, a Louisiana guy who made the decision to come back in 2022, when he certainly didn't have to, but probably will best be known for some big-time catches and a big-time playmaker, and you wish him all the best. He'll go to the Combine and test exceptionally well and be the next in a long line of LSU receivers to go have a great career at the next level. I did want to take a minute, though, if I could, and throw some bouquets to B.J. Ojulari. And mostly because he's one of those guys from the class of 2020 that could have left, and it would have been hard to blame him at any point. Here's what I mean. Those guys who signed with LSU in the class of 2020, remember the context. LSU's coming off a national championship. So when those guys are being recruited, it was really like 2018, LSU wins the Fiesta Bowl, 2019, most dominant team ever, so much fun, national championship, Burrow, Heisman, all of it. And then the following signing class is, after the Natty, is when they all signed. And so they think that's what they're coming into. And then COVID. Everything shuts down. So they don't even have a spring going into their true freshman season. And then their true freshman season doesn't even start until October. And then you have this weird COVID protocol thing where, you're being tested every day. You're having these skeleton rosters, games being moved. They had to adjust on the fly. And all of that, and LSU stunk. They were 5-5. It just didn't go well. And so then after that season, it would have been totally understandable with the portal rules if guys would have left. Guys would have left and found solid footing elsewhere, a new beginning. But he came back. And in 2021, it was a disaster again. You lose to UCLA, and we all know what happened with Ojulari. He was fired by midseason. You get blown out by Kentucky. You get blown out by Ole Miss. It's a disaster. You got to hire a new coach. It was just, and again, you would have totally understood if any of those guys decided to leave. And quite honestly, most of them did, which is why this year for LSU is even more kind of incredible, because your junior class, those guys from the 2021 class, the juniors this year, should have been the cornerstone of your roster, right? Like typically by the time you have a really highly rated class, those juniors are going to be, when they're in their third year, those juniors are the cornerstone. Well, look at the 2020 class. I mean, you would assume like 3/4 of that class would be the cornerstone of your roster. Look at that class. Eric Gilbert, gone. Eli Ricks, gone. Philip Webb, gone. Jordan Tolles, gone. Antoine Sampa, gone. Trey Bradford, gone. Josh White, gone. Max Johnson, Eric Taylor, Dwight McGlothern, Coy Moore, Alex Adams, TJ Finley, gone. That whole class is gone. Which is why when you look at Kayshon and you look at Jaray and you look at B.J. Ojulari, the guys who stayed from that class, that committed to being part of this rebuild when Brian Kelly got the job, it's even more impressive. Like, Brian Kelly talked about B.J. Ojulari and what he meant in this transition.
You know, he's a leader by example. He works hard, does the right things on and off the field, sets a great example. So, you know, when you're talking about culture change, when you're talking about standards and doing things differently, you need a couple of guys early on that kind of set that example by the way they do things. He was one of those guys for me that early on just was all in. And then, obviously, he plays so hard, doesn't take plays off. Go back to the Auburn game where he came up with a strip sack that changed the momentum of the game. It was a leader's kind of play where effort was needed in the time in the game where we needed a big play, and he stepped up.
I mean, that is Ojulari, a leader. He was awarded the number 18. He's a team captain. He bought into Brian Kelly. He helped the transition. You mentioned the play against Auburn at the end of the first half. Remember, LSU was down 17-0. Ojulari gets the strip sack, Baskerville scoops score, and all of a sudden you're back in the ball game. What if you don't get that play at the end of the first half? How does that game go? How does the rest of your season go? Don't know. But Ojulari's a guy who everything from recruiting translated onto the field. He became first-team All-SEC this year in a season where you expect him to have a big year, and he does. He was very durable for LSU and a great player. And he's a guy that, although he's leaving LSU without having won a championship, an SEC or national championship, is a guy that should be beloved by LSU fans for forever because he's worthy of all of that. Now, the big question for Brian Kelly and his staff is how are you going to replace him? And it's very clear that in this transfer portal class, they are targeting edge rushers because the only Jack, remember, Desmond Little entered the portal last week. Ojulari's going pro. You already saw Phillip Webb enter the portal. So the only scholarship player you have that's that Jack position is Xavier Carter, who had 4 tackles this season. So, you know, Perkins can play it, but you want him to be an inside backer, a 3-down, every down linebacker. So you've got Xavier Carter out there, and Quincy Wiggins could play it. Savion Jones could play it, but those guys are more likely to fill into that Ali Gay role in Matt House's defense, which is why they've already made 2 offers to edge players in the portal. And in this class already, you've got Jackson Howard and Dylan Carpenter committed. So that is a must position to address in the recruiting class and in the transfer portal for LSU, because replacing a guy like B.J. Ojulari is certainly not going to be easy. But you understand his decision. You wish him all the best. A great Tiger that the LSU fans should forever appreciate. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.